open mid-thought, phone in hand, staring at a conversation that just stopped. No explanation, no closure, just silence. You were never the problem, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to prove it. You matched, you texted. It felt like it was going somewhere. And then, nothing. They just disappeared. And if you're honest, this happens every single week. Most people assume ghosting means the other person wasn't interested, or worse, they start to believe the problem is them, not attractive enough, not worth someone's time. But here's what the research says. Ghosting is almost never about interest. Most people actually want to meet. The conversation dies because nobody moved it forward at the right moment. That's not a personality problem, that's a friction problem, and friction problems have a fix. It's called the friction gap. I've broken down exactly where these conversations stall. In this video, I'll show you why the friction gap kills dates and the three-step structure that closes it. By the end of this, you'll never look at a fading conversation the same way again. You'll move from instincts to a system. The friction gap is the space between a match and a confirmed date where no one takes a clear next step. It's not ghosting in the traditional sense, it's drift. The conversation feels friendly. There's banter, maybe even a few laughs, but nothing moves forward. And when nothing moves forward, one of you, usually both of you, quietly loses momentum and moves on. Think about the last 3 conversations that faded. Were those people genuinely uninterested, or did the chat just drift? No one asked. No one made it easy to say yes. The moment passed. That's the friction gap in action. It's not rejection. It's a timing and structure problem. This matters because the window for a match is short. Motivation fades fast on apps. The longer you wait to create a clear next step, the more that window closes. Not because the other person changed their mind, but because the inertia of doing nothing always wins. You have to move the conversation forward before the gap swallows it. Now here's where it gets interesting, because the friction gap isn't random. It has 3 specific causes, and once you know them, you can see exactly where your conversations are breaking down. Every conversation that dies before becoming a date breaks down at one of 3 points. I call them the 3 friction points. Miss one, and the whole flow collapses. It starts before you even send the first message. Your profile, your photos, your prompts, your headlines is either sending a clear signal or a confusing one. A confusing signal attracts low-intent matches who were never serious about meeting. Better photos get you more matches. They don't get you more dates. The signal has to be specific enough to attract someone who actually wants to show up, moves you from matches to outcomes. This is where most people lose it. The conversation feels good, but there's no micro-commitment. No small, low-stakes step that moves things forward. You're both being entertaining. Neither of you is being intentional, and without a micro-commitment, the conversation plateaus. And a plateau always becomes a fade. This is the biggest one. Most people never ask to meet. Not because they don't want to, but because they don't know when or how, and they're terrified of looking pushy. So they wait. And waiting is the single most reliable way to kill a conversation that was actually going somewhere. Vague situations cause people to disengage. When you don't make a specific, easy ask, you're not being respectful. You're creating paralysis for both of you. Inertia wins every time. These 3 friction points work together. Fix one without the others and you're still losing dates. Fix all 3 and the whole flow changes. Closing the friction gap doesn't require a personality overhaul. It doesn't require hours on the app every night. It requires one thing, a connected sequence. A clear path from match to confirmed date. Step 1, fix the signal. Your profile needs photos that show you in context, not just a headshot, and prompts that say something specific enough to invite a real reply. Specificity is the signal. Step 2, build micro-commitments. Your job is to create small moments of agreement that build momentum toward the ask. Get them to lean in once before you ask them to show up. Small yeses lead to the big yes. Step 3, make the ask easy. Specific activity, 2 time options, low pressure. I'd love to grab coffee. Are you more of a Saturday morning or a weekday evening person? 2 options, 1 easy choice. No ambiguity, no pressure to figure out what you're asking. That's not pushy, that's clear. And clarity is attractive. This flow is what moves matches to calendars. The friction gap is the space between a match and a date where drift kills potential. It has 3 causes, weak signal, no micro-commitment, and a missing ask. And it has 1 fix, a connected sequence where every step creates momentum. You were never bad at dating. You were missing the structure that moves a match to a calendar. That's a fixable problem, and now you know exactly where to start. If you want the full system, the templates, the scripts, and the daily 20-minute routine, I put everything into the Ghost-Proof Dating Accelerator, built for busy professionals who need the right sequence to close the gap. For the cost of one round of drinks, you get the full system and my 30-day money-back guarantee. It's time to stop guessing. Now, closing the friction gap gets you to the first date. But here's the next problem. What you do in the 24 hours after that date determines if it becomes a second one. That's what we're covering next. See you in the next video.